on the desk that said, Bush Boys were here. It'd go and be written in the concrete, you know, a little letter down here, Bush Boys were here. So I thought it's about time, gol darn it, that 50 years later, we'd find out a little bit about who these Bush Boys were. So I've asked Ed Kaspar. As he said, he can spin a few yarns. That's how we talked in '63, by the way. Spin a few yarns about the Bush Boys. Thank you, Ed.
Thank you very much, Doug. And this is my first reunion, the first time I've come to one of these affairs, and I always felt like I was kind of under the radar and I didn't belong. But I feel a little different now, and that's 2.5 years ago we lost a good friend when Mac Say died. And you all knew Mac because he was part of these proceedings. And when we went to the memorial service, I saw a lot of people I hadn't seen forever. That would be Doug Johnson, and Bonnie Linder was there, and Ronnie Rydon was there, and Don Zeman, well, Don, he was there too. And then comes this rogue gallery of faces started popping up, Bush Boys. I remember them as Bush Boys, and Mac Say was a founding member of the Bush Boys. So when Doug emailed me and said, Ed, would you tell us a Bush Boy story or two? I thought, well, that's Mackie's job, but I'll give it my best shot. So here we go, the Bush Boys. I saw the whole thing, I was there. It was rough. But sophomore year, Saturday afternoon, we had 5 Huckleberry Rebel guys get together. Bruce Johnson, happy birthday, Bruce. Kurt Hudson, myself, Mackie Say, and one other guy I can't remember right now. Oh, Timmy Fair, sorry, Timmy. So we got together and we had nothing to do. We had a car. Somebody had a driver's license. We got a hold of a family car. I'm not sure the family knew we had the car. But we got it. We were driving around first time. And what are we going to do? We're going to get some beer. So we went out. We got a big supply of beer. It was warm, though. But then we got a lot of ice. So we were driving around with all this ice and beer. Where do we go? Where do we drink this? So we found a place that was by Salt Creek, and actually we went and visited that this afternoon. And, you know, where 31st Street goes under over the Salt Creek there, Mackie and I knew nobody follows you down there. You can get away if you go down that hill. It's steep. So we drove over there and we got all the beer and the ice and we went down the hill and we got down by the creek and we started drinking the beer, the warm beer. And we tried to get it cold, but we didn't get too much success with that. And one of the fellas, Johnson, decided that it was a good idea to dam up the creek a little bit and pour the ice in the creek. So that's the kind of, you know, the logic that was So we finished our warm beer and we were trying to get out of there and get the car home, which we did, by the way. It's not part of the problem. But we were going up the hill and we were dragging ourselves up, grabbing a hold of anything we could, and these were bushes. This was vegetation. So here somebody says, here come the Bush Boys. We got to the top of the hill. The Bush Boys have arrived. We're Bush Boys. That was it. Now we go to school up one day, the next Monday, and we're telling our pals, we're Bush Boys now. So what's a Bush Boy? Truth, justice, the American way, us. We're Bush Boys. Well, we want to be Bush Boys. All right. So now the fellas who wanted to be Bush Boys were also guys who didn't fit in the pegs that we were supposed to go into. And they all knew who they were. So we made up a ridiculous initiation, and they all came and suffered through it. And then we had Bush Boys. At 17. So now here they were, from their neighborhoods. There was Timmy Fair was an original, and he brought in Tim Yant and Ralph Ulrich. And then from LaGrange, we had Bruce Johnson and Kurt Hudson, and he brought in Don Guy, Joe Hall, Paul Pelton, Jim Hacker, George Pankow, Norm Dashiell, and Tommy Plunkett. And then you come over to LaGrange Park, that was me and Mac, and we brought in Danny Hensel, Bobby Pohl, and Keith Goodlow. That's it, 17 guys. All of a sudden, the administration, whoa, they come down on us. You, here, you can't do this. No Bush Boys. No, no, no. And we said, what now? What is it now? Because we were used to this by this time, you know. So they come at us one more time. You can't do this. You can't call yourself Bush Boys. I said, well, I think you have to live with it. I think we can. Started this contentious relationship that we had with authorities.
Keep the mic close.
We didn't really feel like they were qualified to lead us. We put up with it as best we could, but we were being tested. And they pushed at us, so it didn't go well. But nevertheless, we were defiant and we were filled with righteous indignation because we had been oppressed and maligned and vilified. And naturally, you can understand that we were defiant and reserved. So that's what the Bush Boys were. We occupied that niche, I think, that the movies like American Graffiti and Grease. You got to have some rebels that don't fit, that are following their own rules, and that was us. And we were genuine. We didn't set out to start a club, let's get under their skin and make trouble for them. They came to us. They hounded us and maligned us and excluded us, ostracized us. And so we had to work to preserve our own self-dignity and self-esteem. And we did that in various ways. Hey, Coach, would you like to join the Bush Boys? You'd make a good Bush Boy, Coach, because the coaches hated us. I'm very sorry, because I know a lot of you guys love the coaches, and they deserved that love and that friendship. They were great guys, I'm sure. But to us, they were the enemy. They were Ming's guys, and they didn't like us. And so we had a contentious relationship with the coaches, and that went on for years. But we had a good time. It was a bunch of good guys having a good time, and we occupied that color niche that I think every class has to have. Now I want to tell you about Mac, something Mac put together in our junior and senior year that we pulled off right under their noses. Never got caught. It was so sweet. And it was very much Mac's genius was behind this. We were truants, Mac and I, from the beginning, early years. And we kept trying. We just kept trying. They caught us. We'd keep trying. And then we got to South Campus, and we looked around and said, oh, this place is immense. We can get away with anything. And so we tried the old stunts, the notes, the phone call. Mac, he's sick today, you know. None of it worked. They caught us. Then we got to North Campus. Dean Workout. He was the dean of the
C.J. Workout worked at the big house.
He was the man. He was Ming. It's for us. But Mackie and I got an interview because we were known truants and we were Bush Boys by now. So we were in that little office he had there, sitting there, and he was giving it to us. You're not going to do this, you're not going to do that. And we've heard this before, so we kind of like, get it out, get it all out, go ahead. You'll feel better. And then as this was happening, in walks his secretary with a handful of these hall passes. Now, if you guys remember, that you needed a pass if you're in the hall. And, you know, I got this, I'm okay. And so she put these hall passes in front of the dean, and he went to work, and he had a very elaborate signature. It was calligraphy. And he interrupted everything to do this, you know, and gave it back to the secretary, and she goes out and hands him to the hall monitor, and then the guys and girls did this, and then the monitor goes to the classroom and hands it to the teacher, and out goes the student. So Mac and I looked at each other and said, is this it? Could this be it? So we got in there, and Mac went to work on his signature immediately. And I tell you, he was relentless. He went through reams of paper, you know. And he did the calligraphy thing. It was not complicated. And I roomed with Mac in college for years, and I know that his study habits and how he went about things. And I never saw him do anything like that. If he had applied himself like that to something else, they'd be writing biographies about him today. So when he had it ready, he showed me. I said, what else could I say? I said, sure, we got to do it. Yeah, you did it. You're there. We got it. Let's do it. So we got into the supply cabinet and got all of the tablets. You know, they had packages, green slips, blue slips, white slips.
Oh, no.
We got all of those. We got the hall monitor badge. We need one of those. Then we first tested it with the nurse's slip, you know. And it worked. It worked, you know. And we learned pretty quickly that it wasn't the signature. They accepted these right off the bat. Because they never did this to the signature. They just saw this and acted on it. So these were our pass. It was almost like we hypnotized them with a ray beam, you know. I've got this. Go. You know? And it always worked. So we needed a hall monitor. So we couldn't use a bush boy. And you remember they had to be delivered to class usually. And here you go, and the teacher. Okay, we needed a hall monitor. Couldn't use a bush boy. We used Mike Riley. We got Mike Riley in this thing.
Oh my God.
Now Michael, if you remember him, he looked like a little angel. He looked like a cherub. And nobody ever thought he did anything wrong. Even if they caught him, they wouldn't believe it. No. So we got Mike in on this thing, and Mike, he loved it. He immediately, that's what I'm in, I want that, I want to do. We didn't corrupt him.
Really?
So Mike was in. Now here's how it worked. I'll give you a last spin. We did this 1 week before graduation, I'd say, in our last year. Because we would come and go, obviously, from class now, once we had this skill. Well, we did it very judiciously. You couldn't overload the system and be hopping up on all the time. We went out, take a long lunch, you know, go out the tops, get an extra hour, leave early, you know, get the McDonald's back into a good spot. Important things you risk, you know. So here we go, senior year, about a week before graduation, the plan goes into action. So Riley Mack at lunchtime goes, he writes all these tablets, because Mike had to have a little, you know, package of them to make it look good. And so we got these ready, and then the bell rings, and Mike gets up. Now Mike could get himself out of class alone, because he looked innocent. They'd believe all he had to do was kind of fan it like this, you know. People, okay, Mike, you know, go. So Mike is out the door, and he goes to Mackey's class first, puts his books down, puts his badge on, walks in with his, hands it to the teacher. Oh, this is for you. Yeah, gets out of there. So now Mac, the teacher, is hypnotized. Mac, take this and go, you know. So Mac gets up, he takes it, he's out the door, he goes to get the car. So now Riley comes up to the third floor to get me, and I had physics at that time of the day. So this guy, this teacher, he was a great guy. I know his name. I won't use it. He disliked me a lot. It got worse when Ralph Ulrich tells his story. I was sleeping, I was in the back row. He thought I was sleeping. I was doing a sitting sleep probably, and he did this to the class. You know, picked up an eraser, and he was going to bounce it off me and embarrass me, and you know, give me a hard time. But I woke up, I shifted just at the right moment, I saw it coming, you know, and I grabbed it and threw it back to him. I didn't know what was going on. I might have been in a demonstration. Newton's 15 long. Can I get an A, you know, do I make the team? But the problem was it got the chalk on him now, and he's probably with it, and they laughed at him. So, oh, you get it. He hated me. So when we got me out of his class, we used the blue slip. I think that was the dreaded one where you have to go see the dean because you're in trouble. So Riley would come up with this one and come into his class and give him the blue one for me, and it lit him up. It would light him up, you know. Oh, Mr. Kaspar, you get to see the dean again today. And I'd play it out, you know, and I go, oh, me? Why? Why? You know. I go up and I get the blue slip and I say, thank you, you know. It's like hypnotized. You know, here you are, go, you got this. So I take the slip from him, I get out the door, hustle down the hall, catch up with Riley. We went to a safe door on Cosset Avenue side that they didn't have a door guard there. Mac's out there with the car, you know, we hop in, off we go. We never got caught. We did it for 2 years. Now, one of your classmates